am a junior in high school right now, and I'm taking this class called Independent Study and Mentorship, where I get to pick any career that I'm interested in and interview professionals in that specific field, as well as eventually, ideally, finding a mentor that I will learn from and will mentor me throughout the course of the year and help me create my own original works relating to that career. And I've always loved music. I perform, I produce, everything. I love music, and so I want to be a musician. I want to be a music producer, ideally, but I've just been looking for some people in the music industry to kind of interview and talk to about their experiences, to gauge kind of some general advice from people, because everything is very helpful. So I appreciate you offering to talk to me.
Sure. What kind of music do you like?
Yeah. Sorry?
What kind of music do you like?
Honestly, that's a good question. I like a little bit of everything, except I have to say country music. I'm not a fan. But pretty much everything else, right now, I'm really into metal. Anything in the metal genre I like a lot. And then I also am super into shoegaze, and then more alternative indie rock stuff, like Radiohead. I'm a big fan of Radiohead.
Cool. Have you ever heard of Ulrika Spacek?
No.
If you like Radiohead.
About that.
Yeah.
Write it down.
It's Ulrika. Second word is Spacek. They're from East London, and they're kind of psychedelic indie rock, and you can tell that they really love Radiohead.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. That's really cool. I love finding new artists like that.
Sure.
So how I found you, actually, I was looking through this list of, a list online of artists based in Dallas, which is funny because you're not in Dallas anymore, but I figured I would reach out because I looked through your work and I really like it. I really like your kind of philosophies about music, the way you kind of create all your music individually, what I read in your bio, and I really liked it when I was listening to it, so I thought you would be a really good person to reach out to and talk to, so I appreciate you reaching back.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. So, I'll start off with the first question. Can you kind of tell me about what you have done so far? So just kind of your education path to get you to where you are now.
So, in college I played in some bands and mostly cover music. I played the drums, and after college we played a little more and traveled a little bit, and got really tired of cover music, and I'd always written poetry, and our lead guitarist Bob taught me how to play guitar, and probably at the age of 22 or 3, and just showed me like the basic bar chords and open chords, and then kind of simple scales. And our bass player, who's my cousin Rob, taught me how to play some blues progression things, and off I went to writing music, and it just flows out of me. I just love doing it, and it comes very easy to me. I've never had writer's block. I do a lot, and who knows if any of it's any good, or a fraction of it could be, but I just kind of record everything that comes to mind, and I've always captured little melodies and ideas and then go back and form songs, and sometimes I just spontaneously record things as they come out of the instrument. I've done entire albums that are just completely spontaneous with no premeditated notes or concepts, which I love. I love how things just come out, and I'm kind of a first take guy, and I don't mind wrong notes or mistakes because I think they can all be beautiful.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you. And that's really cool. Being able to just make music spontaneously like that is amazing. Something I want to be able to do at some point.
Good. it's a good exercise and just opening your mind and just letting it flow.
Do you have any advice for getting to that point? Like what to practice to get there?
Just pick up an instrument and hit record and just let it go and see what happens, and you'll be surprised. And there'll be a lot of stuff that you're like, I don't like that. But then there'll be little snippets and sections where like, oh, that's really pretty. I can build on that. And with today's technology, it's easy to cut out little places and loop them and add to them and join other phrases and create songs.
Thank you so much. That's really good advice. I really appreciate it. Awesome. Sorry if I get quiet for a minute. I'm writing everything down that you're saying.
Yeah, when I interview people, I record the audio so I don't have to write anything down because it's...
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's very smart. I should have done that. I'll definitely do that in the future.
Yeah, we learn as we go. That's cool.
Yeah. So my next question is, are you, it's kind of a yes or no question, are you a full-time musician?
Yeah, I work and have a family, and I've made a decision early on when kids were really little that I didn't want to play live anymore. I didn't like that lifestyle or where it led, and just wanted to have more of a domestic life. So I just kept writing and recording and just tossing it out to the universe. But I don't really love playing live and all that comes with it. So, over time I figured out that I just love to create things and record them and just mix them and master them and put it out. And I play everything. I get together with guys and collaborate from time to time, and there's some of my recordings have other people on them. The only album that was really a full band was the first album, which was before you were born.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. I was kind of asking that because I was just curious. It might change up a few of my questions, kind of your answer on that. Just kind of finding out how easy it was for you to be able to kind of make a living off of it, or if you think it's more, I guess, efficient to work and do this on the side.
Yeah, when I first started doing it, people were making money at it because there was MTV and there were CDs and tapes and LPs. But now that it's just streaming, most bands, even successful bands, just make money on merchandise sales and touring because they don't make much on their music itself unless they're international superstars. So I wanted to have a lifestyle that supported my family, so I decided to not rely on music for income and just enjoy recording it and working to make a living.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it has changed a lot in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen so many people. I mean, you don't want to squash people's dreams, but, and everybody who's into music and writes music goes for it for a while and plays clubs and things and may get some interest from a label and go for it. We never got to that point, and so maybe I was forced to not just pursue it forever. I guess I could have kept playing live more and more and more and trying to get more of a following, more of an interest, but I just kind of lost interest in that.
Yeah.
It's fun when you're young, though. It really is. It's fun to get out and play and have your friends come and play with other bands and move around and see new places, and that's a blast.
Yeah, performing shows is really fun.
I did it until my mid-30s. That's when I kind of said, you kind of need to make a choice about how you want to live and those kinds of things.
Yeah, for sure. So my next question is a little bit on a different side. side. I read that you record, produce, write everything at home, and also, like you were telling me, can you kind of tell me about the process after your kind of raw, spontaneous recordings? What's your process of mixing and mastering and everything, and what tools do you use to do that?
Well, when I started, I used a 4-track cassette recorder, and you can bounce tracks until you can get 10 tracks. And
oh, wow, yeah.
I did the second, third, fourth, fifth, I think, albums on a 4-track recorder. And then I got an 8-track cassette recorder, and that was life-changing. And I go back and listen to those analog recordings, and they really sound pretty good, considering it's on a cassette tape, but it's still analog to tape. But I've been using Logic on an Apple MacBook for a while now, and no outboard equipment. I usually record everything raw without effects or any kind of compression and just straight to the program, because I kind of like to manipulate it after the fact, and you can always go back and listen to it clean versions, and that's kind of fun. So,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's
really cool.
Multi-track through Logic Pro and mix and master there on the laptop.
That's awesome, because pretty much everyone that I've talked to has been like, you need, all of this equipment. You need a mixer and a specific mic and all this kind of stuff. It's interesting that you just use a Mac. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That kind of fits more in with what I'm more interested in doing, is the, I guess, less complex, less editing on recordings.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
I published a couple of essays on home recording, and you can look at the homepage on my website. It sounds like you've been there.
Yeah.
And if you click home recording, there's kind of a narrative about it, and then at the top there's also a link that says release an album for $100. And so I talk all about how you can do a lot with not very much, and check that out and use any that you want in your story.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And that'll be really cool. That'll be really helpful. I'll definitely look into that after this call. So my next question, also you've answered like one or two of my other questions, so I might not ask 9 full questions like I said I would, because you answered a few in the process.
Yeah, that's okay. You can do whatever you want. I'm not in a hurry, and you can go off your list. It doesn't matter.
Thank you, yeah. So here's one I'm very interested in. So when I write music, I often find myself kind of diverting back to what I hear, which annoys me a lot because I'm trying to come up with a new original idea, but then I end up kind of diverting back to like similar lyrics to something else that I already know and already listened to, or similar melodies. How do you specifically write or compose when you do have like premeditated lyrics? How do you write them in ways where they're original enough that you don't feel like you're relying on other things, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, everything you do is inspired by something else. And, it's almost a compliment to your influences when there is something that echoes something else that you like. Or if somebody says, hey, that sounds just like so-and-so, it's somebody you like or admire, then that's kind of nice too. But as long as you're creating it and it's yours, and it's always going to have some forms of some other things that have been part of your life. I usually sit down with a guitar or piano and just start thumping things out, and then hit record on a portable recorder or on the phone to capture little melodies that I come up with that I like. And then when I'm ready to really studio record, then I will record rhythm tracks and put different melodies together, and then sometimes I'll go and hum over them and record the humming on a separate track. Just free-form humming of what a vocal might sound like, and I might even shape some sounds that could be words, and then I'll go through notebooks of poetry and find something that kind of sounds like it might fit with the style of the melody and sort of transpose the words to fit the song and the meter.
That's an interesting process. I gotcha, because I've heard a lot of people say kind of come up with a chord progression and hum over it and then try and come up with like things that fit with the syllables you're humming. But it's really interesting that you come up with the sounds and then find things that you've already written that fit with that. That's an interesting outlook on that. Yeah,
sometimes on the real spontaneous stuff, I will just start saying words, singing whatever comes out of my head while I'm listening to the music or playing the music live, and it might not make any sense, but it's just what's coming out.
Gotcha. That's very interesting.
It's pretty random, but it's it's a free.
Well, thank you for your advice, though. That's really helpful.
Sure.
So another kind of random question. I always hear people, I guess, on like, I watched quite a few interviews of just famous musicians over the past like long time, and I'll hear them sometimes be like, you have to get a record deal, or when you're trying to make it as a musician, it's important to try and find someone that would sign you as a record deal. What is your opinion on how necessary or important things that are advertised as necessary, such as record deals, really are to be successful?
Kind of depends on what your aspirations are. I don't really have any interest in a record deal. I guess if somebody came to me, I would consider it and look favorably upon the opportunity to have music distributed in a different way and promoted. It's not something I seek out. I did seek it out when we first started, and a little bit of interest, but we didn't have enough of a track record and couldn't get it going, and I didn't want to go after that. But this is coming from a true independent artist. There's pros and cons of being in a contract with a record company. And, this is obviously coming from my point of view, where I don't rely on the music for my livelihood. I just do it because I love it. When you're in a record deal, and I've read a lot of books and watched a lot of interviews too, just like you're bound to produce, and you're bound to produce a certain product, and you're bound to sell units. If not, they're going to drop you. So there's pressure to create things that people like, rather than create what's just coming into your imagination. And every one of my albums is completely different, and it's because I can do whatever I want, and that's so freeing, and I love that. I think it's the most free form of creating music is when you're not attached to an entity or label, with a contract and obligations. And
I gotcha. That's really interesting. That's awesome. Well, thank you. Let's see. So my next question kind of relates back to everything else that you've talked about. If you could give one general piece of advice to somebody who wanted to be a musician, in kind of, I guess, in your shoes, someone who produces and does everything themselves individually, that's what I want to do, pretty much what you're doing. So if someone wanted to achieve that position, what advice would you give them?
Well, you've probably heard this a million times, but don't listen to anybody. Just do what's in your heart and do it because you love it. Don't mind the rejection. I've had a lifetime of rejection just because my music's not real mainstream. I can't play it for my friends really. I can play it for my musician friends, but like neighbors and things like that, it's like they would think I was insane if they heard some of these songs. So I enjoy listening to the music that I create, and I have some friends that share in that with me, and just not much of an audience, but I obviously don't do it for other people because I don't have a huge following, but I enjoy doing it still.
That's good. That's really good. Keeping the motivation there by doing it the way you like it.
Yeah.
That's very smart. So I think I only have one question for you. One more. This one is also not necessarily right now, but do you think there's a possibility at some point, because I know you used to live in the Dallas area and made music here and everything, is there anyone in the Dallas area that you know that you might be able to connect me with, producers, artists, anything, just anyone that I could talk to, kind of to gauge similar advice as I did from you today?
Yeah. The first person that comes to mind is Carrie Pierce, and we've known each other since college, and he has a band called Jacko Pierce, and he has played and recorded his whole life, and he has produced other bands, and he's had a lot more commercial success than me, on a regional level, not on a and a little bit national, but he's approachable, and he'd probably be happy to talk to you, and I could connect you guys in an email.
Thank you so much. That would be perfect.
Sure.
That would be awesome. I do find it pretty difficult to find. I just kind of, for the last few weeks, I've been looking up producers in DFW area, artists in DFW area, and it's really hard to find people because I feel like a lot of people who produce don't necessarily put themselves out there as much on just general sites. You kind of have to dig to find them, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
So that's super helpful to get connections from you.
Yeah. What instruments do you play?
I sing, mainly I'm a vocalist.
Okay.
I also play violin, and guitar, electric and acoustic. I play bass. I don't actively play, but I can play every string instrument, every orchestra string instrument. So
wow.
Violin, viola, cello, bass, double bass. But I do actively play violin. But yeah.
Cool. If you have some things that you've recorded, you could send me a link or something. I'd love to listen to it.
Okay, that would be awesome. I don't know if I have anything really right now that I'm ready to send out, but I'm working on it, and I think I will really soon. So as soon as I do, I'll send you everything. That would be really, really helpful if I could get your feedback on anything like that.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for talking to me today. Thank you for your time. This has been super, super helpful, and your advice is much appreciated.
Sure, yeah. Good luck with your project, and let me know how it turns out.
Thank you so much. It would be awesome if I could stay in contact with you, too, if that's all right with you, just to if I could send you some stuff that I'm working on, because at some point this year I do have to submit an original piece of music for the class specifically, but also I'll be working on that because I want to release music. So having your advice and opinions on those kinds of things would be amazing.
Sure. I actually did a something with a high school group a couple of years ago. There's a music teacher at the high school that I'm friends with, and he's had a lot of commercial success in Nashville as a session piano player. And he's a music teacher at the high school, and I wanted him to record some piano on one of my albums, and he said sure. And if you wanted to hear it, it's on the album Fall Line, and it's just acoustic guitar and a little piano and vocal. It's very raw. And he said, let's do it during class. And I said, that sounds kind of fun, because then we could teach the class about songwriting and show how we do it and just do it live. And he's so good. We laid down 4 songs in 3 45-minute classes. And I moved some things around and cut some things, but showed them, on a big screen how we recorded on Logic and had it all live mic'd. And he played piano and played it over some, rough tracks that I'd already recorded. And between songs, we'd talk to the kids about what we did and how we did it. And it was really fun.
That's really cool. That sounds really interesting. Ooh. That had to be really fun to watch, too, to kind of watch that come together in real time.
Yeah.
That's a really cool opportunity. Well, yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate everything that you've helped me with.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for contacting, and keep me posted on how it's going. And feel free to touch base anytime.